everyone, and welcome to Daily Spark TV. I am so glad that you are here with us today. As always, you know what we want to do here on the show? We want to enlighten you, we want to inspire you, we want to empower you. So go on, get comfy, get cozy, get your coffee or get your tea because we are about to get started. My guest today is Honor Newman, and I am so excited to have her on. We're talking about her book today, Killing the Perfectionist Within. I think that is an awesome thing. We don't need to walk down that road unnecessarily. So let's give a daily sparkle. Welcome to Honor. Welcome. So glad that you're here on the show today.
Hi, thanks. Glad to be here.
I love it when we have some of our international guests on the show. You know, COVID is not going to stop us from sharing the word and getting it out there. I love it. Now, Honor, before we talk about your book, as I do on my programs, I like to introduce you to perhaps the few people out there who are unfamiliar. If you would please, can you tell us a little bit about who you are? What makes Honor Honor?
Okay, well, I was always as a child the good girl, the nice girl, the obedient girl, the straight A student. Never got into any kind of trouble. And then it all sort of culminated and came to a head at about the age 30 when I had burnout, and I had no idea why I had this burnout. And I had to kind of unravel what had gone wrong. And this is what I discovered within me, this perfectionism, which was causing all these problems.
Mm-hmm. And you
Mm.
know, there are a lot of people that are nodding their heads saying, "Yep, sister, that was me too." So I know they're really going to enjoy our talk today. Now, about being an author, is that something that you always wanted to do, or did you find that that was just the next thing along your life path?
I mean, I've always been a writer. Like I've always written diaries and enjoyed that at school. But I kind of said no to the career because I'm quite outgoing and I didn't want to be stuck at home just isolated writing a book. So I chose psychology as a career. But then I started writing handbooks for people because I was hearing the problems and I thought it would be helpful. And that's how I kind of got into it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, has mental health always been something that you're interested in?
Yeah, always, even from like a really young age, I was, grabbing my mum's psychology books off the shelf and trying to understand them when I was like maybe 5 years old. So,
It is so funny. I think that for so many of us, people could see the writing on the wall, even when we were little kids, that they knew it's like, okay, either she's gonna go this way or that way, but we know she's taking one of those two paths. So I think that is just adorable. Now, I love the title of your book that you are killing the perfectionist within. So many of us have to deal with the pros and cons of our personality types, of the habits that we have, and the ways in which we do things. Why do you think that being a perfectionist affects so many people?
I think it's cultural conditioning, especially of women. To we have to be peacemakers. We have to be nice, and we have to make everybody feel comfortable all the time, and we have to be pretty, and we have to be all these things. And if we step out of that, we get slammed, we get judged, we get a lot of negative feedback. So it's really hard sometimes to be anything else.
You are so right. And I think it does have a lot to do with culture. And unfortunately, we as women, we do kind of get the short end of the stick on that. You're hit the nail on the head with that one. Now, the title of your book, I'm giving the short version, Killing the Perfectionist Within Me, but tell me the full title of the book.
Killing the Perfectionist Within, a self help guide for women suffering with perfectionism, anxiety, and chronic fatigue syndrome.
I love it. Now, the chronic fatigue, can you tell someone what that is for someone who's not familiar with that?
Okay, so well, it's a condition where you're really debilitated with your energy, to the point sometimes where you can't even read, you can't even work. And I did my master's thesis on this, and I interviewed in depth 10 people with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I found out that they were all really high achievers and perfectionists, and they just worked themselves so hard that they ended up in this place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That goal setting, that constantly using your energy, absolutely. And I think most people now can kind of nod their heads and say, yeah, that's me. Boy, is this book definitely something that I need to pick up. Now, for someone who perhaps this is the first time they've ever heard those words together, chronic fatigue, they didn't know that that was a thing. How can they still enjoy the read of your book? Do you have to be knowledgeable about mental health, or have you written it in a way that the average person is able to understand?
Yeah, it's definitely for the average person. So it's really accessible, fun. I talk about movies and I give like little tips and strategies. So, I mean, I don't see the point in writing something if only a small percentage of people can understand it. Like, I want it to be for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you suggest that people read your book from cover to cover? Can they start with a particular chapter? Can they just open it up and start anywhere? What's your suggestion?
They can start anywhere. I guess it's just depending on what they want to get out of it. Because the first part is sort of like, what are the causes? Like you asked before, and then the next part's more of a workbook. So it's really up to them.
Mhm. Now, for when it actually came time to write the book, and we have so many people who listen in that are aspiring authors, would you say that you were able from start to finish, from the first word that you wrote to holding your book in your hand? How was that process for you? Did you feel that it went by quickly in just enough time, or boy, did it seem like it took forever?
It went really quickly because I think I had a lot to say. And the key was just the best piece of advice I got was, even if you have 5 minutes in a cafe while you're waiting for your friend, write something. And so that's what I did. Whenever I had a little bit of time, I would write, and then it just all came together really quickly, which was kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell us a little bit about how you put the book together. Are we following a story? Is there a main character? Or is it simply you fashioned information in a way that it's action points for us to carry out?
Yeah, I just thought about what I wanted to say, and then I make that into the table of content. So I want to talk about this. This is going to be one section, and I kept it really short, like each section's only a few pages. Then if I wanted to go in a bit deeper, I do a bit more, did do a bit of research, or if I saw something relevant, in a magazine or something, I would put that in.
Mhm. Are men able to pick up a copy of the book as well?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'm not saying that this condition only affects women. It definitely, I had definitely have met men that it affects as well. So yeah, sure, I want to.
And is the book appropriate for our young adults or teenagers, or would you say that it's more geared towards an adult that's out of college already?
No, I think it'll be fine for teenagers. I think they'll quite enjoy that as well. Yeah.
Hmm. Now, for someone who is interested in talking to you more, for someone who says, I love what she has to offer, and I'm not in the States, I am actually in Australia. Are they able to reach out to you? I know we still have COVID, but are they able to reach out to you and schedule one-on-one time with you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on social media, so I'm on all social media just under my own name, on a Newman. So I'm mainly on Facebook, Instagram. They're my main two. So
Mhm.
You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it, so do your part and stay home. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit social gatherings. If you need essential items like food and medicine, try using a delivery service. If you must leave your house for essential items, or if you want to take a walk for exercise, make sure to wear a cloth face covering. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people. Try not to frequently touch surfaces like light signals, street signs, or benches. And wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus, so stay home unless absolutely necessary. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information. You could be spreading the coronavirus without realizing you have it, so do your part and stay home. It's important to limit in-person interaction with anyone outside of your immediate household, but phone and video chat are safe ways to connect. It's also important to limit social gatherings. If you need essential items like food and medicine, try using a delivery service. If you must leave your house for essential items, or if you want to take a walk for exercise, make sure to wear a cloth face covering. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people. Try not to frequently touch surfaces like light signals, street signs, or benches. And wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds as often as possible. This advice applies to people of any age, including teens and younger adults. It takes all of us to slow the spread of the coronavirus, so stay home unless absolutely necessary. Visit coronavirus.gov for the latest information.
We're home during COVID-19, but we're not alone. New Life Pastoral Counseling can help. For affordable Christian counseling, visit newlifepastoralcounseling.com or call 562-209-2083 today.
Hi, do you have something to share? Be a guest. Want to sponsor an episode? Visit drangelachester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.
So, Honor, what have been some of the happy moments that you had when it comes to the publishing and the creation of this book?
I guess it's just like the interest in it, and has been great. And yeah, when I've had a few people say that it's changed their lives, and that's just the best feeling ever, really.
Absolutely. I can understand that. Now, when it comes to challenges, did you have any particular challenges in the process? One question I know that most people ask is, did you get writer's block? Even though this is something that you have the education in, it doesn't mean that maybe you didn't, you weren't able to get it all out in time. Did you experience any challenges?
No, not for this particular book. I didn't have writer's block, but I have had artistic block, definitely, in my life. I'm writing another one at the moment, and it's more just a motivation to get started. But once I get started, it kind of flows out. It's just sitting down and making the time for it that is more of a stuck thing for me.
It's so funny because I usually ask people, do you need to go off and have private time when you're writing, or is there a particular time of day? But I have found that now, thanks to COVID, we are all home. Many people have to deal with working and their children being home. There's much more noise that's going on around us, and we've learned to simply deal with it. So I can understand that perspective of just dealing with whatever it is that you have to deal with. I love that. I love that. Now, did you have a particular chapter that you found that you really enjoyed sharing that information? Be it that you have a background in mental health, was there one chapter that you said, this is a must because this is really going to help people?
Hmm. Let me have a look. One thing I like in the workbook is I really encourage people to make a list of what they absolutely love to do, because it's called "What are your pleasures?" and because they're your coping skills for life. All those things that light you up whenever you're going through a hard time. So I love that strategy. It's simple, but
No, I think that makes it so much easier for people. I was talking to another lady that I was doing an interview with today, and I mentioned to her, I said, when you give people practical, simple action points, there's so much more. The possibility of them actually doing it is greater. And I think that people appreciate the fact that the author is saying, if you simply do this, boy, will that stop all of this other domino effect that you have in your life, because they're able to have that aha moment, and because they simply never thought about it. But you do it in a way that is so gracious, and you don't make people feel silly for not having thought of it themselves. Now, the part of the workbook, did you find that you wanted to make sure that the workbook was available, because that's the inner therapist that's saying, we want to have discovery, and then we want to make sure that we journal that discovery? Or did you want to help just reinforce what someone has discovered or learned along the way? What was your motivation behind the workbook portion?
well, I mean, because I've been working as a therapist for a long time, and that's what I've seen. This is all about what I've seen works. So, what people want is they want to understand why this is happening. Like, they want to have the insight, and then they want something to do. So, I've tried to give them both. And as you said, break it down into really small, easy steps. So, all I have to do is do it and keep repeating, rinse and repeat until things improve.
Absolutely. I love the fact that you were mindful, and that you did it that way. Now, I love how, for those of you who didn't catch it, she said rinse and repeat. Please don't try to recreate the wheel, right? Let's just do those things that we know work, and we can definitely get that forward progression going. Now, when it comes to your future self, so many times we have a plan of what we want to do and how we think we should do it. For the person who's a perfectionist, should they still plan and try to um, make sure that they're on track for the things happening a year from now, 5 years from now? Or are you suggesting to them that just calm down and take it day by day? How do you that train of thought?
Oh, look, I don't think there's anything wrong with having like a plan, a 5-year plan or whatever. I personally don't. But yeah, I guess it depends on the person, and also like their level of anxiety. Like if someone's in a really, really high level anxiety or chronic fatigue, I will say, one day at a time, because to think that far in advance is just so overwhelming for them that it can feel hopeless. Yeah.
You are so true. You're so right, because people do, I think, sometimes when it gets too large, when it gets too far down the road, it becomes overwhelming. And because 5 years down the road, Dr. Angela, I don't even know what I want for dinner, and you want me to project, where I want to be 5 years down the road, and it almost makes them stuck. It stops their forward
Oh,
progression because it's so overwhelming. You're correct about that. Thank you for that note. Now, getting back to that perfectionism, for someone who says, well, I do like things a certain way, I try not to be over the top with other people or enforce my way, but people have told me that I'm a perfectionist, that they can never make me happy. Can you
mm.
give us a definition of what is a perfectionist for someone who's unfamiliar with that term?
I guess it's, there's a few definitions which I talk about in my introduction, but it's having very, very high standards for yourself, either for yourself or for other people or for both. So some people it's just for themselves, but they're kind of okay with other people. But other people project those really high standards onto everyone else in their life as well, which is really stressful for their relationships too.
Mm-hmm. You're so right with that. Now, for someone who says that, yes, I know that I suffer with perfectionism, and I don't want to do that anymore. We are, of course, celebrating the holidays around the world, and New Year's is just almost there, right? It's within reaching distance. With that being said, we know many times we put down for a New Year's resolution that we are going to make ourselves better. And without giving it all the way, you know what I'm going to say, you guys? You have to purchase a copy of the book to get all the information. But what are one or two things that someone can do to start on this new path of letting that perfectionist lifestyle go?
Okay, well, I guess awareness is the first step. So, like being able to recognize, when it's coming up in your life is step one, because then knowledge is power. Then you can do something differently. Also, I love the mini goal, which is basically whenever you feel overwhelmed, like as we were talking about before, like just dial it back to the smallest tasks that you can manage to do, because that's incredibly empowering. Like you can get momentum from that. You just do one small thing, and then you can do another small thing, and then another small thing, and then you're doing it rather than, oh my God, this is too big. I can't, I'm just not going to do it.
That is such great advice. Those little bite-sized pieces really and truly do help. And I don't know why more people don't look at it that way. Those little baby steps, we say it in so many different ways, but for some folks, it does take them a little bit longer. So thank you for that reminder. I love that you have placed that there. Now, my last few questions for you, and thank you for spending time with us. I have to ask these questions. It's something that I always do, and that's about faith. Be it that we are a faith inspirational show, how do you believe that your faith has played a part in who you are? Not necessarily what you believe or what church you go to, not that, but just how do you think that your faith has played a part in creating the person that you are?
Well, yeah, definitely going through like when I was in the middle of burnout and I was, it was a really, really tough time, and I don't think I would have gotten through it without, believing in something higher that was, there's a meaning for this, that why this is happening. And obviously there is, because, now I've written this and I'm sharing it. So, that part of it really helped. And also just like listening to the messages that were coming to me to write this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We have to acknowledge that, it is definitely not just by our power that we are able to do all of these awesome things that we are able to do. Because I tell you, so many times people will see and it's like, I can't believe that you do this and you do this and you do that. And it's not really, it's not me. It's like I've been purposed to do these things, so I have the energy to do them because this is what I'm supposed to do. You have the energy to do what you're doing because you were supposed to be an author. You're supposed to work in mental health and help those people around you. So I think it's awesome that you are walking in your purpose. Honor
Thanks.
Newman, thank you so much for spending time with me here on Daily Spark TV. I'm going to ask you one last time, if you would please remind everyone, what is the title of your book? Where can we get a copy? And how do we stay in contact with you?
So the title of the book is Killing the Perfectionist Within. It's on Amazon and also on my website, www.honornewman.com. And I'm on social media at honornewman.com. I mean, honornewman.com. I come on social media.
I love it. I love it. Honor Newman, thank you for spending time with us here today.
Thank you.
You are so welcome, viewers. We hope that we have enlightened, inspired, and empowered you to be your best self. As always, may you remember, may the Lord's face shine upon you. May you receive his grace and his mercy in all that you do. Until next time, everyone, remember, you are blessed in the Lord. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, do you have something to share? Be a guest. Want to sponsor an episode? Visit drangela.chester.com. Thanks again for watching Daily Spark TV.